Well, finally, this is what I've been waiting for, so I could fix that rosette on the guitar here. This is a circle cutting jig. It's called the Wells Carroll circle cutting jig. Tony Carroll and this other guy Wells, I don't know what his first name is. They designed this. It's a really decent jig, and I've got a Bosch Colt router here, and I finally get these really assortment of different size bits. So essentially the plan is to, I made a plug for this. I got to find perfect center, and of course, as you remember, this is the bad purfling here. I'm going to try routing out this entire purfling and then replacing it with a new piece of purfling. If it does, this video is going to end one of two ways. Either the guitar is going to have nice new purfling in it by the end of the video, or it's going to have a bigger sound hole. It's one of two options. Hopefully it's got a new purfling. Alright, well, here's the way it's supposed to go. I made this round plug that will fit the sound hole. This pretty much just fits nice and tight. What I may do is just put a little bit of masking tape around the outside just to get a real good tight fit. I made a pedestal for it, which eventually I will glue to the bottom of this. This sits in the guitar right in the brace, and it brings this top up flush. Alright. And now I just got basically a screw hole right here, because the way I got this around is I cut a circle as close as I could get to a circle, and then I put this on the drill press with this screw, and I just held some sandpaper, a black, and just kept going until I got a perfect circle. So I want to get this in here fairly tight, and then we've got to find perfect center hole, so that this jig, this has got a piece of rod here that it's going to, you know, rotate around, and I've actually got a bushing that will fit this. I think, I'm not sure what size that is. It might be a 1/4 inch. Got a bushing here somewhere that I'll drill this hole big enough to put the bushing in that the circle cutter will fit in, and then we'll put the router on there and see if we can get this trace in this purfling, the circumference of the purfling, if we can get it going around perfectly. Alright, to find the center, I got to put this in the guitar, and I want to put the support on here so that this doesn't fall all the way in. I'm going to have to take this screw off too, because the way I'm going to find center, I want to put a piece of tape where the hole is, because I'm not sure this hole is exactly centered with the purfling. And without this screw, I have a hard time lifting it, and as they say, I may end up losing it down the hole. So what I'm going to do, I get some double stick tape here. Just put the double stick tape on, peel it, and then stick this here and throw it in the guitar. Alright, we got the pedestal stuck on there. And let's see, I'll put this in. It should bottom out on that brace. So it is. Well, what I forgot to do was put the tape on here, because I really do want a good tight fit, so I gotta pull this back out of here, and of course I took my screw out, so it won't be the easiest thing. I'm gonna work on getting this back out. Okay, with the tape that I put on there all the way around, it's too tight. I can't get it all the way in, so I'm gonna take it back out here and take off some of that tape. I think what I'll do, I'll just take a knife and like maybe put it, you know, do like thirds. Alright, here's what I got. I got the plug is absolutely perfectly, you know, even with the top. I put a piece of tape up here on a mark so that when we put this plug back in, we'll get it lined up, you know, right where it is now. And I taped over that little hole. So I'm going to use the centering rule here, and I'll go, you know, we'll find the center of the purfling in a few different areas, and put a spot right where the exact center of that hole is. Okay, got the center there. Get that marked out, and we're going to go put a hole in it on the drill press. Okay, this is tricky. I got the bushing in, so we'll see how this works. See, the circle cutter fits in here. And we'll see if it matches the radius or not. Well, it took quite a while to get this set up, but I've got it. You know, I put the jig on, put the router on. It's my first time working with this circle jig, so it just took me a little bit to, you know, look it over and see what was what. The way this is pretty cool. It's got a knurled knob here that will adjust. You can bring it, you know, forward or back, and these screws here these hex nuts will lock it down. This pin goes right through, and that's sitting in that 1/4 inch bushing. Now if you look under here, I don't know if you could see it, but you can see the bit, and I finally got the bit like right on the purfling line there. And I've made a couple circles with it, and it seems to be following the black line on the purfling pretty good, about as good as I can get. I mean, it might be on the one side of the black line on one end, and on the other side on the other end, but I don't think I can get it too much better than that. So I'm not going to route tonight. I want to get a fresh start in the morning. I have about 6 cups of coffee, so I get nice steady nerves, and then we'll see what happens. I lied. I'm gonna take a pass with this. I'm just kind of anxious to see how it works. It looks like it's all lined up pretty well. So got it plugged in here, and we'll see what happens. Okay, as I say, I got it as close to perfect. I think this is about the best I'm going to do. I got it to follow the black line from here all the way around to here, and then it starts coming in a little closer, so it'd be like this section. It seems like it just starts working its way in. So I think what I'll do is I'll route like the section where the black line is, and this thing is so adjustable I can just make a slight tweak on it, and then get this, you know, get this section and try and stay no further than the white, you know, the white lines on the rosette. But you almost can't tell, but I've like shaved just a few microns off it. I'm just skimming it right now, but there's a little bit coming off of here. So yeah, that first pass was just real light to see how it was following the line. Alright, so now I'll proceed in the morning. Well, I finished it, and it's pretty good. It's not exactly perfect. We'll see what it looks like when I put the purfling in. And I've got that over here. Basically, I taped it up last night, put it around this disc so it would just kind of conform to the circle. So I think here's a little piece of it, just to make sure the channel was the right width. I got the right width. It's pretty shallow. I don't want to go too deep because I didn't want to go right through. And what I'll do first is I'll sand this a little thinner before I put this in here, so I don't have to take off as much by scraping it. Alright, I sanded it down to make the purfling a little thinner, and I just got it sitting in the channel right now. So doesn't look too bad there. I'm just trying to decide what glue I'm going to use. Alright, I think I'm going to use super glue. I'm going to use the medium super glue. Clear, put it down in the channel. And use some of this binding tape just to keep it in the channel. So one of the things I just did, I didn't show it on camera, I just took a little shellac mixture and I brushed it on around here just to kind of fill in the rosette. Well, you know what's happening is that shellac I brushed on, actually I glued this in, part of it. So what I'm going to do, the part that you see sticking up here, I'll put the medium in along the channel here, and then we'll wick in some of the thin super glue around the two edges and let that dry, and then we'll use a scraper to get it down. Alright, I'm gonna go away for a couple hours, just let this glue dry, but this is what it looks like right now. You can see how proud the purfling is right now, and what we're gonna have to, how much we're gonna have to scrape down. Alright, just went upstairs to grab some lunch. It's been about an hour or so, so take this tape off and see what we're dealing with. Thought I'd put this back in because it'll just keep the stuff from going down the sound hole. So I'll start scraping the binding. I'm just going to do this till I get it down even with the top. I took that plug out because it was getting in the way. You can see I'm getting close, so. Just about level here. And I put a couple pieces of tape on either side of the scraper because I was started hitting the top a little. I didn't want to scratch it up here. Alright, this is pretty darn close. I'm going to clean this up just to see what I'm dealing with here. Alright, well that ain't half bad. I got it cleaned up. It's still got to come down a little bit. There's a slight gap here. I think that's about it. The rest have been filled in pretty good with super glue. But I've got, what I thought I would try is just running a little bit of, get some amber super glue. Maybe that'll work good in, you know, where you can see the slight gap between the purfling and the channel. So I'm just going to run a bead of that around, let that dry, and then I'll come down here and do the final scraping. Alright, I just ran that medium amber super glue around both sides of it, just to fill in any little gaps. And I thought maybe the amber would match the spruce a little better. That's what it looks like right now, so we'll have a little more scraping to do once that dries. But right now that purfling is just about flush with the top. Alright, that amber super glue has had enough time, it should be dry. Just going to keep scraping here and I'll take off the excess. And just kind of take it slow, and then we'll do a little bit of sanding. I got a small sanding block here with 320 on it. So there it is now, with about as far as I can get with the scraper, and really does not look too bad. I'm just going to follow this up with some really fine sandpaper. And what did I learn? I shouldn't go too far with the sandpaper. Like right now this is good, so I could almost stop here, but I just got to get a little bit of the super glue, that amber super glue, off from where it's kind of sitting up on top here. Alright, as I said, it's just a small sanding block I made up. I got 220 on the one side and 320 on the other. And I'll just kind of follow the new purfling around here. Because right now the glue is still a little high because I had the tape. I had a couple pieces of tape on the scraper. So it didn't get right down to the wood, which is fine. I'm just going to work at this real easy and slow, and we'll see what well, guess what? It's back on the finishing bench. Hallelujah. And we don't have a bigger sound hole. We got nice new purfling, and it doesn't look bad. It really came out pretty good. I'm quite pleased. So I'm going to throw a wash coat on here. Maybe a couple wash coats of shellac. I just cleaned off the top here a little bit. But I guess what I learned, next time I make the top, when I thickness the top on like the drum sander over there, I'll take more of the material, not from where the rosette is. That'll be, I'll just take a little bit of material off where the rosette is. I'll thin the top to where I want it by taking it off the back. When I thin this top to the correct thickness, I was doing both the back and the top, the rosette. So I probably made a few more passes on the rosette that I should have, and that caused it to get a little more thinned than that otherwise could have been, which is what caused that problem. Alright, I'm going to give it a wash coat here of the U-Butte, and it's 1:1, and then we can start French polishing the top again. Pick up where we left off. Just got the wash coat on.